Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pursuing Profit with Principles. I'm excited to be here with you again today. Didn't bring you a guest today. Instead, I have something really amazing and exciting to talk about. And I want to start off by just saying how amazing it is to live on planet Earth today. I believe with all my heart, this is truly the best time to be alive on this planet. Yes, there are problems, too many to count, but there are also opportunities, too many to count. We live in a global society for the first time in history, a truly global society. I remember not too many years ago, in fact, just a little over 20 years ago, if you were traveling someplace here in the States by car, and I say here in the States because, we're a global community now, so I know there are people listening from around the world. But if you needed to make a phone call, you didn't have this little device that you could just pick up and make your phone call from. You had to look for the nearest place with a telephone booth that you could stop and make a call from. You had to have some change on hand in order to make that call, and it would take time out of your schedule. So when you were traveling, you actually had to include extra time in your schedule in case if you had appointments along the way, if you had appointments that you needed to talk to somebody by phone while you were on your journey, you had to allow that extra time to stop and make those calls. Today, we simply pull out our cell phones and make that call from wherever we are. Hopefully not while you're driving. I want you to be safe. But that call can be to anyone around the world. And that's exciting. So why is this on my mind? Well, many of you know that collaboration is one of my chief words for this year. And I love finding opportunities to collaborate with others. I have a LinkedIn live show that's called Collaboration Conversations. It's all about collaborations and finding ways that we can work together. Well, last week I had the privilege of speaking at the Nibana Women's Conference in Nigeria. And let me just share with you real quickly here um, the flyer for that event. Just bring that up on screen if I'm smart enough to do that. Barb, you may have to help me here. I'm not seeing how to get that up there. Um, anyway, the event took place in the capital city or in the area of the capital city of Nigeria. And it was called the New Era Women. It was the theme for it. It was a Mabana Women's Conference for 2022. And it was the New Era Women. Women are the key holders to very family, and our ladies must get it right this time. Keep breaking the bias. Well, as you know, this year's women's celebration is all about breaking the bias. And so their theme carried on with that. So it was really very motivating to be a part of that conference. And it's been something in the works for a while for them. And these young men and young women who were involved in putting this conference on are so highly motivated, and they want to learn and they want to implement what they learn. That many of them are in business already for themselves, such as Ibegbila Maranchi, who is the founder of Ideal Lady Channel on YouTube and the Ideal Ladies Coach at The Ladies Coach. She's also a student at the University of Technology in Owerri. She's a public speaker, a coach, and an entrepreneur who's passionate about helping others. Let me share with you a little of the flavor of who this woman is. This is part of a recent post that she made in social media. She said, every woman, lady or young girl, has a dream woman that they want to be. Discovering and diligently working towards it will make them actualize it. The most important thing is you discovering who you want to be. Have a good mentor or role model and walk through the part diligently to actualize your dreams. Remember, never imitate others, Be yourself while learning from them. To our married ones, help your dear child to discover herself. Never force her into what she's not. To everyone, help your dear friends, siblings, and relations discover who they are. Encourage their dreams. Never talk them down. My prayer is that excuse me, my prayers is that may we discover who we are and live our lives fulfilling them. Isn't that powerful and amazing? That's the caliber of women that were involved in this event that I had the wonderful opportunity of participating in. Now, let me share with you another individual from that, and then we'll get into talking about some of the things that I shared in that conference. So, the organizer of this conference, Magnus Princips, is a philosopher, a motivational speaker, an impact leader, a graphic designer, and a leadership consultant. He is a young man. He's a volunteer. He is the founder of Society of Children in Need. He's a state coordinator at the Emo Youth Decide. He's a social media coordinator. He's a volunteer at UN Volunteers. He's studied for a BA in philosophy at the Claretian Institute of Philosophy. Now, he's the person who introduced me to this conference and these amazing young women. We've been connected on Facebook. He's been a member of my Facebook group, Entrepreneurial Leaders Making a Difference, since 2019. And we've kept in touch. I've had the opportunity to be a mentor in his life. Here's an excerpt from one of his recent posts where he was speaking to youth about overcoming depression. He said, "My dear young people, you must learn to take the lead of your own life. Don't get yourself depressed over nothing that you know you will still have in the future." He was talking to people who were concerned in their youth about being depressed because they didn't have as much money as someone else has. He says, "Remember, when preparation met opportunity, it became a miracle. Start building and developing yourself to face tomorrow's opportunity. Your life can change in a moment if you'll trust that God has a plan for your life. Remain in the preparation room so that if Mr. Opportunity comes looking for you, he will find you well prepared. God bless you and have a lovely day ahead. Better days ahead." Wow, I am just so impressed every day by these young people and what they're accomplishing, what their missions are, what their purpose is, the drive that they have to accomplish it. So you can imagine it was a privilege and an honor for me to have the opportunity to speak at their conference. But I tell you, I must say that I learn much from watching and listening to these young leaders. Their passion is so contagious. So, with all of that in mind, my thoughts were, what could I say that could bring value to them? How could I help them in this, with this theme of their conference of the new era woman? Well, to start with, I could relate to their passion about making a difference in the world because I share that same passion. One of the most exciting and fulfilling things for me is when I have the opportunity to help someone achieve their potential and make a difference in the world. I love being what I call part of the ripple effect. You see, when I can help someone else make a difference in the world by helping them to achieve their dreams and their potential, then I have a small part to play in the impact that they make on the world. And that excites me tremendously. I frequently, and some of you have heard this before, but I frequently will go find my husband wherever he is in the house after one of these uplifting, exciting experiences and ask him, "Have I ever told you that I love what I do?" The poor man has been asked that question so many times. But the truth is, I'm just so excited about what just happened that I can't keep it to myself. I have to share it. My energy is off the charts when I'm helping others achieve their potential. So much of what I talked about was to give them an understanding of what they can do to really figure out what it is they want to do in their life and in the world. How will they make a difference? How will you make a difference? How will you leave the world better than it was when you came into it? I think that's a question we each need to address. And also address, are we, once we identify that, are we on course? I think that's so important. So in my talk, the first thing we talked about was getting into what we call flow state. how to train both your body and your brain to make it easier for you to get into a state of optimal focus and productivity. And perhaps we can go over the details of that in another episode. Achieving that flow state, though, makes you much more productive and creative when you're working on significant projects. So we spent quite a good deal of time on that and how to get into that flow state. Then we turned our attention to figuring out what your purpose and your passion are. Now, let's talk about passion first. Passion is more than dreams of great things and following your bliss. Passion is energy. That's why when I get off those calls and I just have to go share that. I have to release some of that energy. It's so pent up inside of me. Passion requires reserves of energy that are replenished as you feed your dreams through your accomplishments. Let me repeat that. Passion requires reserves of energy that are replenished as you feed your dreams through accomplishments. That feeling of power, of drive, energy, and borderline obsession that is required to achieve your dreams is called passion. So, when have you felt really passionate about something? And what did that feel like? I've shared a little bit with you about how I feel that I just can't contain that energy and I have to go share it. I have to go share that I absolutely love what I do because I need to release a little bit of that energy. When have you felt really passionate about something and what did it feel like? So let's talk a little bit more about passion. Passion involves body, mind, and soul. Let's talk about the body first. Passion as energy, or what I call soul fuel, is certainly physical. Passion requires participation from the body. Although many people who live their purpose talk about working for hours without food or sleep or restroom breaks, that isn't sustainable and it isn't healthy. Some of the things required are a well rested, nourished, and hydrated body that strengthens the functions of the mind. We talked about flow a moment ago. Flow, getting in the flow of things, requires focused attention, which includes a sharp mind. So here are some ways you can keep your body alert. Move around at least every couple of hours to get the dopamine flowing again. Stretch your muscles, wiggle your fingers and toes, roll your neck and shoulders, move your eyes from side to side, drink some water, take a restroom break. Those are all really good things to keep your body alert. So, what about your brain? It's important to feed your brain as well as your body. Keep the neurons firing and your focus sharp with plenty of protein throughout the day. A snack of protein every couple of hours combined with movement in the other hours, so 1 hour of protein, 1 hour of movement will that will help you stay alert and avoid distractions. So here are some ways that you can feed your brain and strengthen your mind. Puzzles. Puzzles are great brain food, great activity for your brain. Keep your brain young. Learn new languages. Play an instrument. Have social interactions. Take a class. Pick up a hobby. So, in addition, find ways to use your mind that are not related to your goals. Varied types of activities give your brain the exercise it needs to stay sharp. Now, the third element we talked about is your soul. How do you nourish your soul or your spirit? Some people find that being in nature meets that need. For others, it's more traditional, such as going to places of worship. Many people find that meditation or journaling or breathing or stretching activities replenishes their soul. You could sit on the porch with your favorite beverage and take in the surroundings. Just breathe in the moment. Focus on your senses and let everything else fall away. Whatever works for you, do that. Find what works for you and do that. Now that you have the tools, you know how to get into flow, you know how to access your passion. Now let's move into the heart of the topic, which is finding your purpose in life. And when I say that, it may make you think, well, is it lost? Did I lose my purpose? Have I misplaced it? Is it somehow out of my reach? But the truth is, your purpose is all around you. If it is out of reach, it's because it's out of your conscience, out of your consciousness. It's likely uh, crowded out by busyness, by stuff, and just mind numbing activities like sitting and binging on Netflix. To have a purpose in life is to fulfill a calling or engage in a mission. Purpose is action driven by passion, the energy that nourishes our dreams, desires, and ambitions and goals is our purpose. Now, your emotions can help you realize your purpose. Even anger, believe it or not, can help because anger is energizing. People who channel their anger into action get things done, and they're not likely to lose sight of their purpose. So, how do you figure out what your purpose is? Here are some techniques that you can use. Slow down. That's key. Just slowing down to start with, right? Let me just make a shift here, folks. Want to just check and see if we have any comments that I need to address. Okay, so slowing down. That's our number one thing. Rest your body, your mind, and your soul. Immerse yourself in the present moment. Take in your environment and focus on your senses. Become aware of things that make you smile and things that make you angry. Those could be things like movies and books that resonate with you deeply, people who inspire you, things that bring you joy, injustices that push your buttons, policies that make you want to scream, social issues that break your heart and make you furious. Allow yourself to explore your memories. What did you love to do before you got too busy, too tired, too old, too broke to enjoy it? Recall all of the wrongs that you wanted to right in the world and the problems you wanted to solve. So if if you're not in those 20s or 30s, like these young people in this women's conference, think back to when you were. What were some of those issues that you were passionate about at the time? And then make time. Prioritize and embrace things that make time stand still or that energize you to take action. And then do something. Move toward your purpose, no matter how small the action. Maybe it's making a phone call. Maybe it's going to a meeting or doing some online research, starting an online group, whatever it takes to ignite the fire. So here's a little more in-depth activity for you. Sit down in a quiet place, get comfortable, and focus on your breathing. Many of us have forgotten how to breathe through the stress of life. And there's a technique called belly breathing. You can look that up, I'm sure, on Google. But it is the technique of learning to breathe more air more deeply into your lungs. Many of us breathe too shallowly. And so with belly breathing, you place your hands over your belly. And when you breathe in, your belly should expand, lifting your hands. And when you breathe out, your belly should go in. So work on that. It allows you to get more oxygen in and to breathe better. When you breathe better, your brain has more energy. So sit down in a quiet place and get comfortable and focus on your breathing. After a couple of minutes, imagine yourself in 5 years doing what you love to do, fulfilling your purpose, and spend 5 minutes or more just observing. What is it that you like to do? Are you sitting at a computer? Are you teaching a class? Are you doing physical fitness or karate? Are you participating in a strike? Are you meditating? What is it that you're doing? What's going on around you? Is it quiet? Is it loud? Is it dark? Is it still? Are there other people? If so, what are they doing? Are they being noisy? Are they being quiet? Are they laughing? Are they studying? Just take in everything about the environment. Who or what is there? Are there children, adults, couples, cats, dogs, mountains, rain? What's in this scene? And how are you interacting with them? Are you sitting with them in an audience? Are you talking one on one? Are you lecturing at a podium? Are you climbing a mountain? Are you watching a movie or a concert? Are you at work, at your home office, sitting in your living room in your PJs? Are you walking a dog, stroking a cat, driving a car, hugging your child, kissing your spouse? Pay attention to all of the details. What else did you notice? This is why we sit for 5 minutes or more, so that we can really notice. So, what else did you notice? What were the feelings that you had? What could you smell? What could you hear? What could you see? What could you taste? And then write your thoughts about the experience. Wow, that can be challenging for some of us. You may have to learn how to do that exercise. It may take you a while. You may not get it right the first time or even the 10th time. But the honest truth is, there is no right or wrong. Just immerse yourself in the activity, immerse yourself in the process of figuring out who you are and what it is you want to do with life, how you want to make a difference in the world. Now, we've done the initial work of identifying our purpose. Now it's time to take action. The first thing is that you've got to commit to your purpose. The act of committing to your purpose requires you to set goals, and those goals need to be beyond your reach, but not too far beyond your reach. Think of long-term goals as well as short-term goals. The short-term ones are close enough to motivate you, but far enough away to make you stretch. So, for example, if ending world hunger makes you want to do something, then decide how you want to contribute to that. And then create short-term goals based on what's doable, but not quite within your reach. It may be a project that has many steps, each step getting you closer to your goal. It's most helpful to have target dates, deadlines, or milestones built into your goals. If they're reasonable, and they should be, the milestones provide a sense of accomplishment and reinforce your purpose. Each achievement fuels the next, replenishing the stores of energy that ignite your passion. So now that you've set your goals, you've committed to your goals, now you have to live your purpose. Once you recognize your purpose and commit to the goals with short-term achievable action steps, you've got to get to work. Lose yourself in those moments of flow. Allow yourself to celebrate milestones toward your goal. Find a way to share your progress with others, and it will provide additional motivation for you. If your purpose involves a solitary pursuit of goals, establish ways to recharge yourself. Many people do that through relationships and emotional connections. If people aren't your thing, think about a pet. Many well-known people have formed special bonds with their pets. Wow, we're about the end of our time. There's so much more I'd love to share with you. Other things we talked about were mindfulness and internal and external rewards and motivation. And then what's next? You know, we need to begin with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey said. And that refers to your goals. What do you want to accomplish? What is the difference in the world that you want to make? And how will you go about it? I have many more resources on this and would love to share more of this with you. But the last thing I want to share with you is about gratitude. Gratitude is a special gift that you give to yourself. Expressing gratitude on a daily basis is so powerful. We don't have time today, but I will share with you at some point how gratitude was one of the most powerful experiences and tools that I used to get me out of one of the darkest places in my life, which was after my husband had passed away, just 1 week shy of our 44th wedding anniversary. So, gratitude and keeping a gratitude journal was a powerful tool that I used to get me through that period of time. And I've used it many times since. It's it oh, I can't say enough about it. So think about what you are grateful for, and if you can, start a gratitude journal. Start a gratitude journal. Write in your journal every day what you're grateful for that day. What happened today that I'm grateful for? That's all we have time for today, folks. I wish you an amazing week, and I will see you next week here on Pursuing Profit with Principles. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry
Yes.
weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma is so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada, and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and Together, we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the
Hello, happy Monday yet again. It is LaChelle Adkins, also known as America's Supermom. I am excited to be here today. We are going to be talking about new opportunities. Now, for many of us, we are in this whirlwind of life happening in real time. So many things are changing with this global pandemic, virtual changes versus being live and in person. Do we wear a mask? Not wear a mask. 6 feet apart, only so many people in attendance. I mean, the list goes on and on. But today we are going to focus on how we can have new opportunities. So we'll be getting into some slides here briefly, but I first want to start out, for those of you who don't know me, I am America's Supermom. My husband and I have 15 children. 15, you heard me right. And we still have 10 of them that live at home. So that is where the moniker America's Supermom comes from. Really being able to fully embrace being a business owner as well as a mother simultaneously at the same time. During my journey, I felt like I couldn't do them both. I felt like it was just something that was really, it was a lot of anxiety. I felt like, in order to do one, I had to turn my back on the other. And it was just really a hard thing for me to manage. And so that is why I'm really passionate about doing these segments on marketing and mindset. So marketing was what I got my college degree in. However, I set that degree on a shelf for a while because I thought, well, I'm having a family, the kids just keep coming, and I wanted to be at home with them. I wanted to attend field trips and be involved with their extracurricular activities. And I just thought I couldn't do them both successfully. So after my own journey, struggling with depression, 3 hospitalizations, I said, what is wrong? This is crazy. You can't allow time to stand still. You have to keep it moving with what's going on in life. And so I was able to then navigate through life strategically, intentionally, so that I could be a business owner as well as a mom at the same time. And so we are going to begin this discussion with what happens when we have these new opportunities. How can that really be something that we're able to enjoy? So I'm going to add some slides to our stream again. And I'm sorry, y'all. Never having stuff together. I am just not the tech savvy person, but we're going to start off with saying no leads to, okay? No is actually an acronym, but it first starts with really recognizing what your limits are, right? So I was really struggling with this. I felt like, my value and worth was based on me being involved in all these different things. I felt important. If I had to be here, if I had to do this for somebody else, and the list goes on and on. But as you can see in this picture, I was overwhelmed, right? I was going to bed, actually falling into bed, right? If I did, sometimes I was falling asleep in the chair, had my clothes on, had glasses on, crook in my neck, right? Never having a good night's sleep because I was so busy trying to be all things to all people. So the first thing that we do with our superpower, right? Because this is usually these segments, I'm talking about how we can empower ourselves, is to say no, right? Simply analyzing, am I going to be able to do this effectively to the best of my ability? What are some of the consequences for me saying yes to this? If I say yes to this, am I going to need somebody to tend to my kids? Or is it going to mean that I'm not going to be available to cook or be home to pick them up from school? I mean, all these different things. We need to really focus on what it is that people are asking and what that means we're going to have to deliver. So the first thing with really exerting your superpower is simply just to say no. Now, when you're saying no, that leads to new opportunities, right? We have to remember that there are opportunity costs to decisions that we make. Now, this was really a challenge for me as a stay home mom, as a lot of points in my children's growing up, they homeschooled. I was with them every step of the way, every minute of the day. I nursed my kids, right? And the first two, it was quite a challenge. I think each of them, one was 7 days, the other one was like 10 days. And then from that point on, after the third one, I was able to nurse them full term till like 12 months old. And with doing that, I realized that if you are doing some parenting things, for example, we're using this as an example. So if I am at home with my kids, they're home from school, and I'm giving them a snack and kind of getting them into their routine when they get home, there's no way that I could be present at work. Right? Now, even if you're working from home, there is a moment. If that's kind of hard for you to kind of understand because you're thinking, well, they can come in, they can do it themselves. Well, imagine if you're at work, you can't be at your computer if you've got to go to the restroom, right? So we cannot be in two places at the same time. So sometimes things get a little blended and cloudy if we work from home, if our kids are at school from home. As we start bringing everything home, the lines get blurred. However, the end outcome is not any different. If I am at home, regardless, I'm sure I would have a designated area that I would be working in. I physically couldn't be in that workspace and be in the car taking my kids somewhere. Okay. You can't be in both places at the same time. Now, I get that we have mobility with our mobile phones. You can get on Zoom and all that kind of stuff. But this is really the first problem with the ability or the inability to say no. Really not understanding that it is your intention and it is your focus on what really matters in order for you to be successful. So if you're focusing and you're being attentive and intentional, that means only one thing at a time. It's not multitasking. It's not trying to be on Zoom while you're taking your kids to the park, right? If your kids are at the park and they're young enough to where they need supervision, you can't watch them if you're on a Zoom talking to somebody else. So we want to be mindful of understanding that there are boundaries that need to be set up and we can say no. And when we say no, because we close the door on that one option, it opens the door to something else. And so this is how new opportunities are formed. Now, so when we have those new opportunities, we want to really decide what is right for us. Okay. We want to really begin to understand, okay, I have 5 hours in my day. I need to do 3 hours with coaching or whatever. So that leaves me 2 hours. With those 2 hours, what am I going to do with my time in terms of my business, personal, or whatever else that we have going on? And so that is where the decision is required for us to really think about what is best for us in this scenario. And so many times we are challenged with this because we are trying to do what we think is going to get us the favor or recognition of the other party. So, for example, someone asks you to help them plan an event. You may not be an event planner, but you feel like, man, if I connect with them on this, that's going to give me the opportunity to be in their network, meet more people. While that may be well and good, but if being an event planner is not your expertise, it could end up being a burden. So even though you're able to connect with this person and they're offering you this opportunity to work with you for whatever reason, it is there that we need to really decide, is this really what's best for us? So maybe you're not an event planner, but you have a large network and you could pass their flyer to your connections. Maybe you can make a post. Maybe you could send out an email invite. Okay, so we can think about what is best for us and choose how we're going to move forward with that opportunity. It's here that we really need to discern what is really good for us, what is good for the other person, or whatever that looks like, so that it is win-win for all of us. So as we're doing this, we're finding people that we can collaborate with, right? Collaborators are people that are willing to bring their best to the table as well as you bringing your best to the table. When we're collaborating, we both have an invested interest in the outcome that we're working towards. So let's take an event, for example. Maybe you are connecting with a fashion designer. So the fashion designer is bringing the clothing. It's going to be a fashion show. And maybe you are bringing the people that are going to be the spectators. Maybe you are helping with food if you're going to have food and you're going to have someone cater it and you know some people in your network, or maybe you can do the photography. Maybe somebody else is going to do video. So you want to think about what is the experience that you want to acquire or create, and how is it going to look like for you to get there, right? What are you going to do? What are you going to need other people to do so that this collaboration can be successful for all parties? Okay. The next thing is being open to learning new things. So if I am a fashion designer, I might want to explore, how can I have fashion implemented in the metaverse? I'm just using that for example, because we can know about fashion when it comes to everyday, what we are able to see on video in real life. But have we ever explored what fashion it's going to look like in the metaverse, right? So we have to be in a position to think about, what is the pulse of our industry? Where are we headed? What are some things that I need to be mindful of so that I can be successful and relevant at all times, right? So we can think about some of these famous singers. Let's think about Michael Jackson, for example. Now, we know that Michael Jackson is no longer living. However, I have an 8-year-old. She is 8 years old now in 2022. Michael Jackson died quite some time ago. And even if he was still living, he is not even in her age bracket. However, she knows who he is and knows his music. Relevancy, right? Always being in a position of understanding that it is a melting pot of people, whether it's our industry, whether it's our clients, or technology, different things, always keeping abreast of how things are changing so that you remain relevant in all that you do. So when we also do this, we want to establish boundaries. All right. So we want to be able to understand, hey, there's a limit to what I can accomplish in a day, right? There's a limit to the amount of energy that I have every day. There's a limit to my energy level, my finances, you know, a limit to the of time that I'm able to put into my business versus family and my personal time. We have to realize that there are limitations. Now, this is where we have to be more proactive because everyone has things to do. Now, you may not have children, but you have a career. You may not have a career, but you have family and some of their obligations, or, the list can go on and on. We all have things. And so it's important to think about we have to be proactive in establishing what are going to be the non-negotiables that we want to work on every day. Now, when we get into new opportunities, we're learning new things, we're collaborating with people, we can get so excited about what the outcome is, right? But we want to be mindful that just because you plant a seed today does not mean that you're going to have a harvest tomorrow. And a lot of us are pie in the sky thinkers. We have hopes, we have dreams, we have vision, and all that is well and good, but you're not going to just receive your vision tomorrow, right? It's going to take time. It's going to be the long game. It's about having patience, establishing boundaries, making good relationships, because these boundaries really help you insulate what your energy level is, what your financial condition is, your resources. All these different things are insulated in your boundaries. So your boundaries are not designed for you not to be able to accomplish things, but they are designed so that you are able to manage what it is that you are bringing to this scenario, right? Whatever that looks like, how much energy you're bringing, you're able to set a boundary. So my kids, they joke at me all the time because of TikTok. I used to be on TikTok way before it got popular. And I would set a I would set a limit on my timer. I would set a timer for a certain amount of time. Why? Because I noticed that although these little videos are quick, they're a minute, I would be spending hours just going through the news feed of whatever was out on TikTok. And it got to the point where now I'm not even on it anymore, right? I have an account, but I'm not on it because it was such a time suck for me, right? So I had to establish a boundary. I had to set a timer, and that timer was when I said, hey, when it goes off, regardless of how it didn't seem like it was a lot of time, that is adequate time for me to spend scrolling on TikTok because that's what I was doing. I was doing more of that than actually creating content myself. So we want to make sure that we have these boundaries because a lot of times things just aren't going to happen because we say so, right? We have to be intentional with how we spend our time in order for us to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. And so the last thing to think about with finding the collaborators, learning new things, establishing boundaries, this is how you're successfully able to build your business. You're able to build your business because you're able to connect with people that are like-minded, right? And they are focused on showing up, learning new things, fitting within the boundaries that you have set up in order for you to move on and create the business, the outcome, the opportunity that feels right to you. This is so important to think about. It all starts with us just simply saying no to some things and really deciding what are some things we want to do and what are some things that are just not going to serve us. And so oftentimes we just think, well, if I say no, they're just not going to appreciate anything that I am bringing to the table. It's just you want to be gracious, you want to be a team player, all these different things that we tell ourselves. But there are limits to what we're able to do. If you think about your vehicle, right? And I'm not saying that we are only worth a piece of, property, but it's an analogy. You know, you have your vehicle, it has a gas tank. That gas tank has a certain amount that you can put in there. Now, you can fill it up as much as you want to, but if you drive around and expel all that gas, right, that is in your gas tank, you're going to have to get some more gas. There's a limit, there's a boundary to how much gas can be in your car at one time, but as you use it, you're going to have to refuel. And so this is the thing to kind of think about from the very beginning is how can I refuel? You know, or how can I maintain a consistent level of energy so that I could be at my best every day, no matter where I'm at, right? So this is the thing that we need to be mindful of, and saying no and realizing that you can't do all things, you can't be all things to all people is the first step to really walking in your superpower and having the opportunity to be mindful of receiving some of those new opportunities. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. It is really a great discussion when we're talking about new opportunities. Oftentimes we feel that no is a bad word. We don't want to offend anybody. We're afraid that we might not get this opportunity again. But I hope that you have been able to see through our discussion that new opportunities are right around the corner when we're able to manage the priorities that we have and the things that we want to accomplish. So if you are interested in having a conversation about this, you know, because priorities change as my kids get older. You know, when they're toddlers, there's certain priorities. They get to middle school, high school, college, everything changes. And so we want to make sure that we remain flexible. But maybe you're having some challenges with some of these new opportunities and you want to connect on a call. I would love to reach out to you and have that conversation. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. This is really a dialogue. I want to be able to provide you with information that is going to help you to get better. And I'm not going to be able to do that if I don't have any questions or insights or things that I can help you with. You know, as a mother of 10 children at home, right? People are like, man, you know, I would love to ask you this and ask you that. And the questions just keep on coming if I happen to be in front of them. But then when I have platforms, it's like crickets. Nobody has a question. So if you have a question, put it in the comments. I'll be happy to serve you and answer those. But in the meantime, remember, saying no is not the end of the world. It is actually the beginning to new opportunities. So thank you guys so much for joining me today and have a wonderful week. And I will see you next month. That's right. Next month is when I'll be back. So in the meantime, continue to say no when you need to and be abreast of all the new opportunities that are waiting out there for you. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.